Nothing like waking up early to make a video talking about a fucking awful movie. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Blockbusters show. I'm Adam Sykes, and we are doing part 2 of the Jim Carrey-less movie trilogy of the summer. And first we did Ace Ventura Jr. Now we're doing something different. We're doing a prequel, and I think this is the first of all of these Jim Carrey-less cash grab movies. And it's banking on Dumb and Dumber. Before they made Dumb and Dumber 2, they made Dumb and Dumberer when Harry Met Lloyd. I just want to give this opinion right now. Dumb and Dumber is good, but out of all the Jim Carrey movies that, made him successful in the 90s, it was the least franchise-worthy, in my opinion anyway. There are some of those movies where it's like they're just perfectly fine on their own and they don't need any kind of like extension, they don't need some kind of like future branding, they don't need sequels, they don't need a TV show, which apparently Dumb and Dumber had. At least with The Mask, it was based on a comic book, so it's like, okay, there's a bunch of different, like, kind of comic book-esque adventures you could do with that, whether it's, through comics or a TV show or anything like that. And Ace Ventura is based on, like, animals and adventures, so you can go to a bunch of different locations and different exotic animals to work off of. You can definitely do more with those than a road trip comedy like Dumb and Dumber. And it's not to say that I don't like Dumb and Dumber, I do. It's just you can't turn it into a franchise like they were really trying to with, stuff like this movie.
Dumb and Dumber, when Harry Met Lloyd.
This movie is a prequel, and it begins with the birth of our two main characters, Harry and Lloyd. We then jump forward a little bit to when they're in high school. Harry is going to be attending a high school for the first time since he's been homeschooled his entire life. And Lloyd lives with the janitor of the high school that they're attending, played by Luis Guzman. And I'm really sorry that he's in this movie. This is the second time he's shown up on the Blockbusters show. First was Old Dogs, and now he's in this. God, I am so sorry, Luis Guzman. So, for complete coincidence, the reason that these two guys run into each other is because Harry's trying to dodge a vicious dog while trying to get to school, and Lloyd runs out of the school, even though he's already there, to try and catch the bus to school, because it's funny because he's an idiot. And you're going to be saying that to yourself to try and justify the movie's mere existence. They're running towards the same direction, they end up running into each other, and they give an explanation for why Lloyd has a chipped tooth. And this is what I think with some prequel movies, it's like, do we even really care about an explanation for some of this stuff? Like, I thought that with Solo, A Star Wars Story, to be honest. It's like, do we really care enough to see an entire movie about how Han Solo met Chewbacca and stuff like that? But with this movie, there's even more of that, where it's like, do you even care enough to know why Jim Carrey's character had a chipped tooth in the first Dumb and Dumber? I highly doubt it. So they go to school, and then the plot gets going when we see the principal, played by Eugene Levy, and the lunch lady of the school, played by Sherry O'Terry, who they have a fling together, and they have this elaborate plot to try and embezzle money from the school system so they can use it to buy a condo in Waikiki. And they think, well, how are we going to get money from the school? What do? They decide to front a special needs class, and they start with Harry and Lloyd because they're total idiots. This is the plot. I just need a second. I genuinely need a second to actually sit here and think about how stupid this is.
I can spend the whole year in a class taught by the lunch lady. Yeah. Can I bring my girlfriend?
You can bring whatever you want, my little friend.
Then we get a montage of them recruiting other people for the special needs class, and what you get is an Asian girl who they seriously nicknamed Ching Chong, football player who's constantly sleeping because he got knocked on the head pretty bad, a punk rock bully stereotype, and Shia LaBeouf wearing a series of stupid costumes is also present. Now, a lot of people like to track what was the beginning of the end of Shia LaBeouf. Some would say it was politics, some would say that it was the Transformers movies, some would say that it was being in Indiana Jones 4. I think I found the right answer. It was being in Dumb and Dumberer. So with this ragtag team assembled, the movie from then on just kind of becomes a series of skits in between. Like, it's just a bunch of them doing stupid stuff. They drink Slurpees too fast when they go to a convenience store. It's all just really stupid, pointless shit that doesn't amount to anything. And yeah, the first movie was kind of like a series of vignettes, but it actually meant something because it was an original take. Because that was the Farrelly Brothers' first ever movie, and they actually did a decent job putting it together. But this movie is just, if it's not trying to be like the first movie, it's sucking at trying to do literally anything else. There's a girl that works at the school newspaper named Jessica, and she's suspecting the special needs class as being a front because she really doesn't like Sherry O'Terry, the lunch lady. And so she's constantly trying to get information out of Harry, and Harry misconstrues it as she likes him. This all culminates when she asks him to come over to her house for dinner so that they can talk about this thing, and Harry misconstrues it as a date. And so then there's a whole thing of them getting ready, and Harry goes and gets her a chocolate bar. He ends up sitting on a heater. You can see where this is going. He goes to the bathroom and he takes the chocolate bar out of his pocket, and it's all melted, and now it looks like there's feces all over his face and hands. And then he tries to wipe it off, and he wipes it all over the walls and everything in the bathroom. And this is probably the closest thing to funny the movie ever gets, because her dad is played by Bob Saget, and he comes in and starts screaming, "Oh my God, my house is full of shit."
Shit everywhere.
There's shit everywhere! Damn it! There's shit on the windows! Oh my God! My house is full of shit! He shit everywhere! Look what he did! He shit all over the wall!
Lloyd shows up to see how the date's going, and it's going terribly, and then when he talks to Jessica about how he has access to every part of the school, she then decides to go with Lloyd, and Harry misconstrues it as, "Oh, you're backstabbing me for my best friend," and Lloyd, "You're not my best friend anymore." So then they go to the school and they find no worthy information whatsoever. And so now Lloyd feels like he's been heartbroken, but the damage is already done to their friendship. So then we get a token sad montage where they're no longer friends, with footage from earlier in the movie or unused footage. It's not like anything in this sad montage really matters, because one scene after it happens, first of all, Lloyd beats the shit out of Shia LaBeouf dressed as a pirate because he thinks that it's Harry's imaginary friend. That was the thing I just said. Then Lloyd steals a polar bear mock-up that they saw from a museum earlier in the movie and gives it to him as a present, and now their friendship is restored. Oh, this is important. Eugene Levy and Sherry O'Terry have an old wooden chest filled with documents and videos and photos of all of this, illegal stuff that they're planning. And they established earlier that Harry was given a treasure map by his mom, which was obviously a fake treasure map. And since Lloyd lives at the school, he sees the treasure chest and thinks that that's the treasure that Harry was looking for. So he takes it, and then later in the movie, Eugene Levy and Sherry O'Terry think that Jessica took it because she's constantly snooping around and trying to bust them. So then what Eugene Levy does is he offers to give her a ride to school, and really what he does is he keeps her locked in the car and takes her to some place of his and has her tied to a chair. Even if they were going to get away with all this illegal stuff, they probably would have been put away for kidnapping, because that's totally what that was. All that's going on, Harry and Lloyd see this and follow them, and she tells them to open up the chest and expose these frauds for who they really are. They open up the chest, and of course, being the idiots that they are, they don't realize what these documents and tapes and papers are. So what they then decide to do is they redecorate this Thanksgiving Day float that they've been working on earlier in the movie. Instead of looking like George Washington, they make him look like Eugene Levy with a pirate hat on. It's not funny in the movie. I'm making myself laugh because it's just such a stupid thing to say. All the other members of the special needs class see the papers and files and documents and all the other stuff in the chest, and they go, hey, these guys are a bunch of criminals. They're trying to rip off money from the school and sneak off to Waikiki. So during the parade, they, over loudspeaker, play tapes that they'd recorded of themselves, and the entire crowd hears this. Police eventually roll up, and the two criminals are taken away. And oh, just like in the first movie, the Harry and Lloyd are considered heroes, but guess what? Jessica already has a boyfriend. You know, kind of like in the first one when it turned out Mary had a husband. And another desperate way for them to try and connect to the first movie is two things in the ending gag. You have a sports car with two hot chicks roll up, and the joke is that they ask them to come with them, just like the tour bus full of bikini models, and like idiots, they completely, just miss their advances. And it's another callback to the first one because one of the chicks' name is Freda Felcher. Oh, so it's kind of like the chick that Harry wanted to get with from the first movie. One thing that truly sucks about this movie is that it's incredibly cheap looking. I mean, this went to theaters and it somehow made a shitload at the box office, despite being completely hated by critics. And it makes you wonder, how did they score that much when this movie looks like it should go straight to video? There's nothing about this movie that screamed it needed to go straight to theaters. Aside from that, the acting is not very good. I mean, the people who are actual name actors like Eugene Levy, I just felt sorry for them the whole time. I was like, man, you were in really funny movies. You were in like American Pie, and admittedly some of the shitty straight-to-video sequels, but those have more dignity than this. At least that's an easy paycheck. What the hell? You don't walk away with dignity from Dumb and Dumberer. The movie's comedy borders on incredibly lazy and just relying on references to the first movie. It borders on being like over the rainbow levels of offensive. I mean, people pretending to be part of a special needs class. And I think the reason that this movie just sucks all the cock and balls in the world is the fact that it's just a failed attempt at trying to capitalize on a popular movie. I mean, Ace Ventura Jr. did that, and a bunch of other crappy sequels I've looked at have done that. But man, this movie is just like, I don't know, it feels like it's just relying solely on, hey, you've seen Dumb and Dumber, you like that movie, oh, well, guess what, you're gonna love this because it has none of the same people involved, it has none of the, like, directors or writers or producers responsible. This feels like a studio think tank project. This feels like this was made just because, oh, people know Dumb and Dumber, and maybe we could squeeze some cash out of that. And the worst part of it all, as bad as this was, we're still not at the worst one. The worst one is next, and it's what we're capping off with these Jim Carrey cash-in movies. Because next time on the Blockbuster show, we're looking at Son of the Mask, and I hear that that's fucking terrible, and I am not looking forward to watching it, but I got time. I got time to prep for that. That's in August, so look forward to that when that comes out. Until then, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Ooh, shit! Hey, come back here! I'm not cleaning this up! I'm gonna have to have this towed! Come back here!